This is Vlogmas Day 27. So this is going to be a list of books that I want to read in 2018. Now some of these you've seen on my channel before, me talking about. So yeah, it's just a fun little video. So let me know if you've read any of these, what you think, and enjoy the video. So first up is Cress and Winter. So these are part of the Lunar Chronicles, and I am loving it so far. It's a 4-book series, which are like a loose fairy tale retellings in sort of a sci-fi-ish kind of setting. So we have Cinder, who is a cyborg, which is Cinderella, and then Scarlet is a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. Cress is Rapunzel, and Winter is Snow White. So far, I'm only halfway through book 2, but the series has great characters. I love the way they retell the stories in a modern way, or a futuristic way, if you will. And it's just a lot of fun. The characters, they have personality. It's the right mixture of modern and fairy tale. And I'm really looking forward to these. Next up is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, the Half-Blood Prince, and the Deathly Hallows, because by now I should have finished Harry Potter and I didn't, and I mean, this is an iconic series, so, and the first 3 are fantastic, and, it's just, I like books that they're more than just wizards or vampires or whatever. I like characters that have personality, that, they have issues on. It's a great story with a great cast of characters, and it's about time I finish it. Next up is one that I had unwrapped for one of my TBR unwrappings, and that is The Stand. Dystopians and post-apocalyptic and all that other stuff, and it's a pretty well-known book, and so hopefully I will be able to get through it by the end of next year. Next up is The Killables, which is a dystopian, but one that's not well known. I can't even remember how I even came across it, but it's something about kind of having this test, I think, when you're young to see like how much you would, like how bad you would be, like your personality, and if you're capable of like murder and all that other stuff. So I'll have to look more into it. The synopsis sounded kind of interesting. Then there is A Brave New World, going back into the dystopian thing. There's a lot of young adult, and so I wanted to read more of the classics, and I know people often compare this to 1984 as kind of like an opposite, so yeah, this one don't seem to be talked about as much though. Next up is Pride and Prejudice, because I've had this on my Nook and I just have not finished it. It don't seem like a bad book, it's just I was never in the right moment to like fully grasp it, and I like to, have books have my attention. So hopefully I'll get through it. Next up is Aristotle and Dante, Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I have not heard that much about it, except it's about, I guess some people say an M&M romance. I haven't heard too much of a plot. If there really is a plot, I think it's basic contemporary. Next up is Winter Girl. So I read Speak and I loved it. I have the graphic novel, which I still have to get through. And I started reading this one a long time ago, but I never really got through it. And this one is more about, I believe, eating disorders. If I remember correctly, it has a lot to do with that. So we will see how this stands by Speak. Next one is Bird Box, which is a movie that I had just watched. I really liked it. I liked the concept. Again, this one is kind of, I guess you would call it post-apocalyptic and everything. And the concept of it is just so interesting, and it seems like something that would kind of keep my attention. The next one is My Sister's Keeper. Now, this one, again, is something that I started reading a long time ago, and I just never went back to. The concept is really interesting, very sad, and it's a contemporary, but I think a little bit of a twist on the contemporaries that we normally hear, because it's something a little outside of just friends and high school and all that, and we have a lot of, I guess, cancer-based books, but this one is something quite different. Next up is Youth in Revolt. I liked the movie. It was hilarious. I don't know if a lot of people know this is a book, and I had almost forgotten for a while that it is. And I'm kind of surprised that I didn't search for it before, but I think I just totally forgot all about it because it's not really a movie that's talked a whole lot about either. But, yeah, I'm kind of curious about how the book is now. Next up is Let the Right One In. So I had seen both the Swedish version and the American version, which is called Let Me In. And I think it's an interesting take on the whole vampire genre. It's a little bit more dramatic than horror. But then again, I mean, I don't know if you call Interview with the Vampire horror. But, yeah, probably something a little different than Twilight. Next up is Life of Pi. So, I've heard mixed things about this one. I picked it up at a Goodwill. It just sounds adventurous, and it sounds like it might have a good flowy language to it, and something that's going to keep me engaged in imagination and all that, and that is something I definitely look for. Coming up next is A Song of Ice and Fire, aka Game of Thrones. I have the first 2 books. Again, I found it at a Goodwill, and I know there's a read-a-thon, or like a read-along coming up. So, hopefully, I will be able to get through those books. I haven't really watched the show, so nothing spoiled. Next up is The Book Thief. This is a historical fiction, I think, kind of mixed with a fantasy element, or as far as I know, Death is a narrator in the book. But, yeah, I wanted to check out more historical fiction. Then is Will Grayson. So I unwrapped this, and I only got through a little bit of it on audio. And, I don't know. I guess I'll have to get more into it. But anyways, that's the video, guys. See you next time.